All right, let me know when you can see, all right?
Yeah, clearly, sir.
All right. All right, so once again, good morning, everybody. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Coffee, for inviting me over for this webinar session. All right, and and thank you for all the students that are willing to spend extra time, extra effort to actually attend yourself, during this early morning. I believe majority of us, when we're at the age we might be sleeping right now, but you spend extra effort to make yourself awake and attend these webinar sessions. It's already one step further of success for yourself as well. All right. So for today, what we're going to share to you is, how we help to get yourself noticed by employer. All right. So I think this is very beneficial, regardless whether you're a year one, year two, year three, or even final year students. Right. This actually applies to you at all stages of life. All right. So I think that this gives you a better insight on how would you prepare yourself in every single stages. All right. When it comes to that particular stage. All right, so we will start these sessions by having introductions, all right, on how would we Intel want to get noticed by you as well. All right, so let me share. All right, so before we roll up, this is what I would like to proudly share with you so that we will get noticed by you, all right, as part of the choice of employment selection as well. All right, so Intel has been awarded by graduates across Malaysia, about 30,000 graduates, that's voted for Intel since last year. Right, and this is the award prize that Intel has been awarded last year as well. So we have this Graduate Choice Award 2019, right, where we are the first runner-up for electronics sector, and also second runner-up for engineering and also ICT or ID sector as well. So we also are the first runner-up for IT, right, under the Malaysia 100 Leading Graduates Employer 2019 as well. I believe most of you have encountered this, right? So there's a lot of surveys that ask you, hey, please vote for your most preferred employer, right? So this is where Intel gets the votes from graduates across Malaysia as well. So we need to say that these graduates actually voted in terms of their preference, in terms of their interest, right, to work in Intel, right, after they graduate. So they may have heard of Intel from their friends, family, seniors, or even they have their own internship experience over here. That they themselves actually voted, and I believe some of you, a minority of you, also have experience working in Intel for your internship as well. So this is pretty much the awards that we have gotten as well. So we have this red stat, top 20 most attractive employer in Malaysia in 2019. We are ranked number 4 out of so many companies in Malaysia. All right, so we are also a very close partnership with Inti, where we every single year, I think starting from 2015 until now, continuously and consistently, we have been the most preference or the diamond award for Employer of the Year for Inti Malaysia over here. All right, so this is how I would like to get ourselves noticed by you. All right, so if you think that Intel is one of the place, right, after the whole selling sessions with you, right, please vote for us, right? Let's say you think that Intel is part of the company that you want to work for in the future. All right, so it's a little bit introduction about myself, right? So my name's Alex Goon, right, and this is the portfolio that I'm holding in Intel right now. Right, so I'm actually the Intel Malaysia side, the campus program manager from HR. All right, so meaning to say that I play a role in liaising Intel with university across Malaysia and also overseas as well. So if let's say there's any partnership, for example, like this event, where Mr. Kashi approach us, right, to see that whether we can actually give a webinar sessions that will beneficial to students, right? This is where we play a role in further up the collaboration between industry and also the university as well, right? So anything partnership that the university wants to do, right? So I'll be the main liaison person on this. So I'm also leading the Intel disability and accessibility hiring. Right. So for information, Intel is now open up another brand new platform in terms of talent recruitment. Right. So Intel is a diverse and inclusive workforce environment over here. So we don't what do you call it? We don't discriminate against any hiring, right? In terms of gender, in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity, and in terms of physical conditions as well, right? So meaning to say that if let's say you are under a disability condition, right, whether it's mental, physical, right, as long as you portray the potential for us that you have the capability and you have the technicality to actually execute the job, right, then that's more than welcome for us to hire you if let's say you able to meet the requirement over here. And Intel has already started to create a very OKU friendly kind of environment for people with disability. Right, we have these friendly OKU infrastructures, right, all the campus conveniences that we have. Right, so if let's say you have any friends or you have any family members, anybody that you know is under the physical is under the disability conditions, and you know that pretty much they are actually struggling to look for a job right now outside, right, you can always refer them to us as well, right? So you can refer them to me, right, because I'm leading the hiring of disability people in Intel over here. So I'm also leading the Penang Youth Entrepreneur Program. So this is a program where we collaborated with AmCham, in leading the Penang secondary school students in terms of how do we prep them, how do we instill the interest of STEM, right, when they're in the secondary level. Right, so I'm leading for Intel side, and we have another 14 companies in Penang that actually co-collaborating in leading this program for our secondary school student in Penang. Right, so we want to create more engineers like you guys, right, in the state of Penang over here. So I'm also pioneering, and I'm also the advisors for Intel Graduate Clubs, right? So you will be able to see this graduate club later on in the presentation slides, right? So I'm not gonna talk so much over here as well. So I have my degree in 2011, and I had my master's in USM in 2015. All right. So I'm so happy that I'm able to calibrate this webinar for all my juniors over here as well. All right. So this is my career path. All right. Out of the 9 years of total working experience. All right. So Intel is actually my fourth company, as you can see. Right. So if you do the math, averagely about 2 to 3 years, I jump from one company to another company. All right, so a lot of people say, hey, is this a job hopping, situations that, we heard of a lot of HR practitioners says that job hopping is not a healthy or it's not a good, practice to be made, right, when you're in a career search over here. But to me, I have a different point of view about job hopping, right? I think when it comes to career searching, it's more on mutual benefits between you and the employer, right? If let's say the employer sees you in potential, but not because of the job hopping trend, right? So they might be more than willing to actually give you the the employment, because what they really need is the talent that you have, right? So it's not about the job hopping, right? And if let's say you join a company, right, and you really portray a very strong potential, you really portray a very strong performance in the company, right? And I think the employer has the responsibility and accountability to make sure that you could actually retain long enough in the particular company. A person hope from one company to another company is because of a retention plan that has not been a success. When it comes to a potential or a talent retentions over here, that's where your potential people will jump from one company to another company. All right. So out of my formality, right, this is my pretty much my leisure time. What I really want to do and what I really like to do, right? It's more on a person with adventurous traits with myself, right? So I always like to try something new, something adventurous, right? As long as it's not too dangerous, right? And all the safety precautions of the safety measures has been taken in place, right? That's where I would like to try, right? So same as well when it comes to job, right? I always love to take up some new challenge, right? Where as long as during the whole process I get to learn something, right, which is valuable to me, right, which is valuable, and it could help me in a lot of other advantage in my future career, and that's where I will go for it as well. So I'm a wanderlust as well, right? Wanderlust means that I'm a person that loves to travel around, right? Whether it's within Judy Malaysia or overseas, right? Too bad because of this year COVID-19, right? That's why we are not able to travel around, especially overseas. So after when the country gets more stable, everybody more stable, that's why my Judy Malaysia plan will start within the country. Let's play our role as a Malaysians to help our country to grow back their economy. If you're not talking, I would like all of you to mute so that we will not disturb other person as well. Thank you so much. All right. So what I expect you to take away from today's sharing is that I will talk about, as mentioned in the beginning, every single stages of you, right, and the roles and responsibility that you should have, right, when it comes to every single stage that has been mentioned over here, right, student stage, job seeker stage, interviewee stage, and also you as an employee stage as well. A lot of people will stop when they have when they come to interviewee stage and when they got a job, right? But many times they forget about what they need to do when you are as an employee in a particular company, right? And I think that's the most important thing, right? Because this is gonna be the decision or determination point where whether or not you will make a decision. This is a company that you retain yourself for long term enough, right? In terms of the culture, in terms of the environment, right? In terms of the stability of the company, right? Whether or not this company is having a healthy, environment and culture, right? I think this is a key point, right? That you as an employee should really understand, right, before you make a decision to actually accept the offer from the organization. All right. So if let's say you have any questions, you may ask after the whole sharing sessions, whether you can verbally ask us, all right, or you can actually put the questions in the chat box, along the way, so that I could come back to your questions and I can try my best to actually help to answer whatever query that you have in your mind. All right. So before we start with every single stage, I would like all of you to actually remember this quote of the day, right? So this is a quote that you should remember for today and for the rest of your life, right? When it comes to until the stage of employee, right? So remember, every single stage, you are not alone, right? So you need to figure out yourself how to make yourself unique. All right. So let's remember this code, and I will explain why this code is so important in every single stages over here. All right. Stage one, when you as a student, right, currently right now, right. So remember the code again, right? So life as a student, or all of us have been a university students as well, right? So what I'm trying to say over here is what you need to do, right? Especially when you're in a university level, right? So you must always remember very clearly what is your responsibility, what is your role right now as a student. Your parent pay a very good sum of money, right, from their hard-earned money, send you over to university to get knowledge, right? So you must also play a role on how would you want to repay your parents on this as well. So as a student, right, the first one, simple, right? You are here to gain knowledge and to get good results. When you get good results, you also need to figure out a way to maintain a good result, right? So you must always solid your fundamental. Right. But it means to say that whatever you have studied in year one, year two, right, you must always figure out how would you want to solid your understanding about this basic engineering or basic fundamental theory that you have studied in year one or year two. Right. So this is very important, right? Because when it comes to interview stage, right, this is where a lot of high flyer they fail their interview with us, right? So because of the fundamental thing, right? All right. Whether or not they have first class honor, whether they have fourth letter, right? Many times, minority of them fail because of they could not even solid up their fundamental. All right. So we will talk about this later on when it comes to a job seeker or interviewee stage over here. Right? And why I say you must always figure out a way to remain good results. Right? A lot of students say, "Is CGPA really matters to me?" Right? Is CGPA really matters when I go to go out and search for a job? right? But you ask yourself, right, whether or not CGPAs really matter. To us, you as a fresh graduate, what else can you sell to me, right? If let's say I'm the interviewer, I'm the hiring manager over here, all right? You as a fresh graduate, what else can you sell to me, all right? If you are not portraying anything special in your resume, and you're not portraying anything exciting about your CGPA as well, right? So what makes me choose you over the others, right? So when it comes to here, remember the quote of the day: you're not alone, right? You are not the only one that's searching and applying for the job, right? One position of a company could have hundreds of applications, could have thousands of applications just for one position, right? If your CGPA is not good, other people have a better CGPA. Other people have a better fundamental understanding about what they have studied throughout the whole 4 years, right? If you are the hiring managers, who would you choose? Of course, we would choose whatever that is meeting our requirement. All right. Every company in Malaysia will always set a CGPA requirement. If you have attended any career fair, I believe you should have known about this as well. When you approach a company booth, in a career fair, you will always see that they make themselves very clear, right? They have their, job description posted on the wall, on the bulletin, on their brochures, on their streamers, on their marketing collateral. There's always a mentioning about the CGPA minimum is 3.0, right? So if you're not even meeting a minimum requirement of CGPA, right? What is your selling point, right, to actually join the company? So that's why we as a students, all right, our role as simple: gain knowledge, remain good result. If this simple thing you could not even do, all right, then the rest I don't think you could actually do it as well. Right. The second point when it comes to, apart from study, is you need to figure out and you need to self-assess about your communications. All right. A lot of students, right, I know they talk when they are having interview, right, because of nervous, right, because of first time having the interview sessions, they become very nervous, right. But this can be overcome, right. This can be overcome by frequent practice that you have, right. Back in my time when we were in UM, right, what we did together with our friends is that how would we actually maintain ourselves in terms of good results, right? So we always have group study, right? So group study actually helps, right? Because certain things, certain time, a topic that you study, you may have different interpretations between on the same topic between you and your friends, right? You could interpret this way, but your friend could interpret in the other way. So this is why you sit down together and we discuss together as well. And hey, how can you have this thought and I have different thought as well, right? If let's say both of us they have different thought, let's deep in and let's find out more about what is the real interpretations of a certain topic that we have. And this is how foster your communications, right? Remember, try to have your communications between you and your friends in a language that the syllabus is requiring, right? So this is how we practice when we're in UM as well, right? And this is how we encourage each other, right? So a group of my friends, all of us, you know, every single time we remain, a very strong CGPA until we graduate for the whole 4 year. Right, and if let's say you think that your communications is really weak, especially in English, right, when English is really highly needed, when your dream is to join a large multinational company, right, like American company, right, or any other Western companies, right, you need to really improve on your English communications. All right, if you do not have a good communication in terms of English, you are not doing anything about it, right? So no way that you can actually help yourself improve in the near future, right? And it will be very too late when you're joining a company, right? Because when you step into a company, you work as an employee, right? There's no way that an employee can give you time. Hey, spend 2 years and go and improve your communications. No way. When you step inside, on the job training done, right? That's why you are gonna be assessed and whether or not you are the suitable person to be assigned with a certain project. Right. Bear in mind that when you join a company, especially for example Intel, all right. So Intel is an American-based company, right? So so now all of us use English over here. We are not expecting you to use Malaysian mother language, right? Whether it's Mandarin, whether it's Tamil, whether it's Malay, when it comes to official meetings, right? Because every one of us will need to use English, right? So this is highly fostered in the environment because when you are dealing with a project, you might be dealing with somebody out of Malaysia as well, right? What do you expect American people gonna listen to you if let's say you are speaking other than English, right? So they will not be able to understand, all right? And that's how you set a bad impressions, about them to you, right? So start to work on it on the communication if you think you're really weak on it right now, and broaden out your network, right? So you could notice from all stages, right? I always emphasize on network, right? So you need to figure out a way on how would you want to broaden out your network, right? In the university level, right? You have seniors, right? You have juniors, right? So you need to really mingle with them, mingle with the seniors, and mingle with the juniors. Why? Because one day they might be your referral to the company that you really want to join. For example, in Intel, right? So if you have your seniors, you have friends, you have your junior that have internship experience before, right? And by the time you are looking for a job, you need to research about the company. You need to know about the company culture. These people could be your wonderful help, when it comes to that stage. All right. So always try to broaden out your network over here. And you need to have a good impression built, together with your lecturer as well. Lecturer is also a key point when it comes to a fresh graduate employment search, all right? Because in, every time a faculty or university will have a very close collaborations with industry, right? And a particular lecturer will have a close partnership in terms of certain projects with industry as well. All right, and certain time they will assign their students, to run this project for the industry, right, in the name of the company, in the name of the university. So if let's say you are not building a good impression to your lecturers, or your lecturer do not even know who you are, all right, and don't even know your capability when it comes to a certain research projects, right? So definitely you are not under the selection leads, right? Or even let's say there's no projects, right? When it comes to industry requirement, that hey, now we are asking your lecturer to recommend a few students to us, so that we can hire as a fresh graduate, right? If you do not have a impression set in your lecturer's mind, right, you are never in the selection list, right? And you could miss out the opportunity to be, introduced to the industry, right? Trust me, right? The weightage of the lecturer introduce the students to a company, right? The hiring chances is much more higher than a general submissions to the company. All right. So remember, you need to figure out a way on, building up a strong connections with your lecturer. If you have not, right, and you are still in your year one, year two, year three, right? So please do it. And something extra that we always see students is lacking, all right, is sometimes, I mean, majority of time, they don't really spend their extra time on additional activities, right? Certain time it's because of being forced, by the lecturer, being forced by the university. That's where they showed up in a certain event. But in terms of voluntary basis, right? So that's where a lot of university nowadays, this is something that we see lacking over here, right? So if let's say you want to get yourself noticed, right? You want to build a very wonderful resume, right? You want to have a lot of values, a lot of insights in your resume that could impress the employer, right? What I would suggest is that really need to spend extra time in all the additional activities listed over here, like whatever events are hosted by the university, by a hostel, by the faculty, right? Or even every single year your university definitely will have a career fair, and they are looking for students to to volunteer as a committee to run this career fair. Please sign up yourself for this kind of events, right? Or any industry or any organizations that comes in and they said, hey, we want to do a career sessions, we want to do a career talk, all right? And you can actually always volunteer to be the liaison person between you and the employer. That's where you will have the impressions to the employer straight away when you're in the university level, right? So this is what is pretty much we require you as a student should have. All right. So if let's say you really want to get yourself ready in after you graduate and you are ready for the workforce environment. So when it comes to stage two, right, when you are a job seeker, right, so always again remember the quote: "You are not alone." How do you want to make yourself unique? So what really is a job seeker, right? Job seeker, simple, right? You are the person looking for a job, so employer doesn't even know how you look like. It's a total empty blank sheet of paper about them to you, right? So you really need to help and think of how would you want to design your own catalog. Why I use catalog over here? Because you need to make yourself as a product. You are now a salesperson. You your product is your experience, your education experience, all the qualifications that you have right in the resume. That is gonna be a product. So how would you want to design your own product? You really so that your customer you buy your idea, you really want to spend money on you to buying the products, you really need to figure out how to. Right. So you need to identify your interests. Right. A lot of times job seekers don't care when they look at when they are searching on JobStreet, for example, they are searching on any job portal, right? They will just click every single job application that is posted by the company because their goal is to join the company, right? But you must always make yourself clear as well, right? Not only that you want to join a company, but you also want to make sure that you join the right team, the right job as well. The company is not going to buy you long-term, satisfactions. The job will. All right, the company is gonna only give you a moment of feeling about how would you feel about the whole company environment over here. But if you join a company, you like the culture, but you don't like the job, right? Every single day you are complaining about the job, you're complaining about your team, right? So trust me, you're not gonna be retain yourself long enough in the organizations, and you're just purely wasting your time on that. Right, so you must always identify your interests, right? Especially when it comes to your 4 years of university, right? When you're studying, when you're selecting your major, that is the moment that you are identifying your interests. Otherwise, what is the point? What is the determinations factor that makes you choose the major, right? So that must be a certain piece of your interest that will drive you to select the major in your university, right? So research the company as I mentioned, right, that you wish to apply. Right, how do you want to research? Again, network could help you on that. Right, as I mentioned, right, you could have seniors, you have juniors, right, you can have friends that are working in a company that you want to work for. Right, so you can ask them, all right, what is the experience working in that company? All right, what makes them say so many good things about the company? All right, so this is where you can actually leverage the network that you have, right? So before you make a firm decision, whether or not this company is something that you want to apply or you want to accept their offer. And the most important is that you must always know what is needed for job applications. You are a job seeker, as I mentioned, right? Nothing can astonish the employer because they have not met you at all, right? So you are total strangers to them. So what you really need to have, right? So you need to have simple resume, all right? This is a very common sense to anybody that is looking for a job. Resumes. But when I mention resumes, it has to be an unambiguous resumes, meaning to say that it has to be a clear, full of detailed information kind of resumes, right? And if you could have, you need to set up a LinkedIn account. A lot of people nowadays still don't have LinkedIn account, and even if that, let's say they have, it's not active. All right, so I will share a little bit more on what is the benefit of LinkedIn account, right, and what you should do, right? What is the beneficials of LinkedIn account over here? And you must always update your JobStreet account from time to time, right? So many times, right, students will always rely because of JobStreet, right? Because JobStreet is very popular in Malaysia, and they claim that they are the main source of job portal in Malaysia for everybody, right? No doubt they are, but why I say updated JobStreet account is that certain times students still remain or forget to update their JobStreet, right? When it comes to fresh graduate applications, whatever they submit when the employee click in, right? We still see the information, still remain at the stage of internship, right? You use JobStreet when you are looking for internship, All right, pretty sure. All right, but when it comes to fresh graduate, remember to update the latest information, especially about the educations, especially about your contact details, all right, and your latest FYP projects, all right, synopsis outcome, all right. This is when you need to keep yourself updated about the job street account. Right, instead of me teaching you on how to write a resume, I think most of you guys would know how to write a resume. Right? But what I really want to call out is the mistake to avoid in the resume writings. Right? So this is the mistake that I commonly see when I dealing with students on recruitment. Every year, we review more than thousands of resumes, and we still see a lot of common mistakes. Like over here, what we stated here has been executed by the students, right? So this is where I compile and I pull out the main factors of the mistakes that the students is still having in their resumes. The first one is objective, right? A lot of time when I ask students, do you know why you put objective in the resume? They say they have no idea. All right. They said that their friend put in the objective. They just follow their friends. Or they say that they when they are searching for idea on how to write resumes, right? And Google say that put objective, right? And they have no clear understanding of why you need objective in your resumes, right? So objective is the first thing that to tell the employer about who you are and how well you fit to the job. All right, so this is where you need to always customize to every single job that you apply. You cannot have one size fit all. All right, so when you are submitting a job, right, you must always customize your resumes. All right, it may sound very troublesome, but you need to ask yourself what makes you more troublesome, over the importance of getting the job that you really like. Right. If let's say you think that keep on customizing, keep on editing about the objective, about the content. Now, when I apply to a different job, right? If this is very troublesome for you, then by all means you can leave it there. But I will tell you that for those who are really spending effort in customizing the content of their resumes, more high chances they will get notified by the employer. All right. So really, if you don't have an objective to write, to me, I think it's optional. All right. If you don't have things to write about your objective, you have nothing to sell, you have nothing to sell about yourself to the employer, all right, then, it's okay to leave it blank. All right. You don't have to put objective, right? But if you just put objective, right, avoid putting a very too generic objective, which do not carry any single information about why you, who you are, and why you for the job, and avoid from being too self-focused, content about your objective. When I say self-focused, it's not about, how well you fit the job. It's about, what's so special about, your personality, your beauty, your appearances, right? So this is not what we need to know in the objective over here. Right. So second one is email address and contact detail. Right. When I share this, a lot of students will ask me, right, when they have face to face, they will ask me, this is pretty common sense, right? So email address and contact detail, how would somebody still make mistake? Yeah, I have the same question as well. Why would somebody still have done the mistake in their email address and contact details? I will not put this out if let's say this is not a common mistake that has been done, by students in the resumes. Right. So again, email address and contact detail, I think the whole piece of resume, this is the number one information that you really need to take care, all right, before you submit the resumes. Right? Why? Because it's the only contact channel that we as employer need to use to contact you, all right, for the job. Right. So if you do not have a correct email address, your contact detail is wrong, there's no way that the employer will be able to contact you. Right? And there's no way that the employer is gonna spend extra effort, go any single where, contact your university, contact anybody just to check on your contact details. Unless you are super extraordinary person, you receive a certain international award that nobody in this world is getting, then probably employee will spend extra time. But if let's say you are just ordinary students, right? Where you are no difference with your friends, your classmate over here, right? And you don't have a correct email or you don't have a correct contact, right? Trust me, employer or even a HR will not even spend extra 1 minute just to go and search for your right information. They have thousands of applications in the system. If your information is not accurate, they will just put it aside and they will go and look for other candidate. Simple as that. All right. So again, what does it mean by bad email? All right. Bad email means unprofessional email. You do not create an email that looks like a scam email to us. Right. So again, right, when you create an email which is looks like a scam, right, most of the time we will not be bothering about that. Right. We will not entertain about an unprofessional emails. Right. And inactive email address, you also need to make sure that you don't put it in. If this email, a person could have one or two or three email, right? And if let's say you are putting in an inactive email address over an active email address, right, then you are putting yourself in jeopardy, right? Because certain time inactive email address, the system would need you to, to validate to reactive the email. And if you miss and you do not do that, right, any email sent by employer to this inactive email address could not flow in, right? So you may miss out the whole important email from the employer. And one thing I really notice about students, right, and they really like to put student email in their resumes, which I don't highly encourage personally, because to me, I back in my time when I was in university time, when I was given a student email when we have the first week or second week or even first semester lah. So when I rethink about how frequent that I use my student email in a year, I will say that it's less than 3 times, right? So I'm not sure how about you guys, but if let's say you do not frequently open up your student email in a day, right, then I don't suggest you use student email as a contact point for between you and the employer in your resume, right? Use your personal active email because certain time, certain university, they have a system set. All right, this is what I understand from other university as well, where student email systems they will block any external email coming into their student email portal. All right, so meaning to say that if let's say we as employer we send and for example interview invitations to you, but you're putting in your student email, and your student email system block, the email from coming into the inbox, then too bad. You might miss out the interview chances with the company that you apply for. Right. So to me personally, again, do not put student email as point of contact for your email. All right. So the third thing to me, I think very important as a fresh graduate is your education detail. Right. So again, right, this is the only thing that the employer would need to evaluate about you, right? Your qualifications, your eligibility, whether or not you are suitable to join the company, right? There's nothing else that you can sell, right? There's nothing, you have no solid working experience, right? You don't have any project accomplishment that is related to the company, right? Because you have not joined the company, right? So this is the only thing that you must figure out a way to really sell it hard to the employer in your resumes. All right. So to me, the important information that you need to have, in the resume is first of all, of course, definitely your course name, right, and the major as well, right. So if let's say you're applying for electronic role, this will help, right. We will not if you just put Bachelor of Engineering, and that's it, all right. Where we see certain time a minority of students they put like that, right. They put Bachelor of Engineering, and that's it, no more. Now, how would you expect us what kind of courses that we are studying, all right. So if you don't have a full detail, I will just throw it away. Simple as that. All right. And CGPA, very important. A lot of times, students are pretty smart, right? So when they don't put CGPA in the resumes. But we as employer, we are not fool as well. All right, we're not stupid. So very easy. You must always remember the code. You are not alone. There's a lot of people applying to the same job. So we as a HR for recruiter, right, that that always review resumes, right? They also want to make their life easier, right? So whatever information, whatever resume that give them a full information that will help them in filtering, right? That's the application they will really focus on, right? When for example, let's say they are doing a filtering, they want to filter out with CGPA, whether or not anybody has CGPA with 3.0 and above, for example, right? And when they click filter, and your resume don't have profile, your profile don't have CGPA, all right, and so you don't expect the recruiter to really call you up and ask for your CGPA. No way, right? Trust me, nobody's gonna do that unless you are submitting your application to a company where only about 10% applying for the job. Then yes, you could expect the recruiter will call you for that. But if you're applying to a multinational company like us, right, where we have always one position, we have about hundreds of applications coming in, right? Trust me, there's no way that we're gonna call you up and ask for a CGPA. To us, only two possible reasons that you don't put CGPA. The first one is you are having a too high CGPA, fourth letter, for example, and you are scared of your friends know about your high CGPA. All right, so there's a lot of time people don't want to put the CGPA. All right, to us, this is pretty much very uncommon, and this is a very weird thought if you have that, right? Because back in my time, we always expose our CGPA to our friends, right? We are not scared of our friends knowing about CGPA, even if our CGPA is high, right? When we have a high CGPA, we should feel proud about it, right? What's so embarrassed to hide it? Where you spend so much effort, in scoring a high CGPA, and you're just afraid your friends know about your high CGPA, right? And this actually will help to push or motivate your friends to do, to push themselves, right? Let's say they want to beat your CGPA, and you create a very healthy competitions, right? So pretty much this is very uncommon where a person tells us that I do not want to put my CGPA in my resume because I scared my friend knows about my high CGPA and they get jealous about that, which to us is very uncommon and it's weird. And the second one I think is very common where we always assume this is when a person don't put CGPA in the resume, high chances that because their CGPA is very very low, right? It must be not meeting the requirement set by the employer, and they just still want to get a shot to get to get a chance of interview by not putting the CGPA because of too low, right? So this is pretty much the common reasons when we see a resume that don't have CGPA. When they have no CGPA, we will assume that your CGPA is not meeting our requirement. We just put it aside. Simple as that. Right. So whether or not low or high, you need to figure out. You need to still put your CGPA in. All right. If you're having a low CGPA, you really need to think of what is the other way to counter back your low CGPA in the resumes. What are the costs that that affects your low CGPA on this? Right. If you are a very active person, like I mentioned in stage one as a student, you participate a lot of additional activities, right? You are a very active person. You always portray leaderships in certain events or projects that you are leading in the university. This is something that you can actually use to counter back your low CGPA. All right. But again, right, when it comes to low CGPA, you must always prepare yourself when it comes to interview. Right. Low CGPA doesn't mean that you have the excuse to not prepare yourself well in the interview. If you're serious about the job, you're serious about your applications to a particular company, you really need to get yourself ready for that. Right. But if let's say you have low CGPA, there's no extra activities, no extra contributions to your university life out of the 4 years, nothing to put in your resume, then very hard, for you to get yourself noticed by the employer, and you really need to, sit down, crack your head, and really think of how you want to, beautify your resume about this. Right. So again, the third one is FYP, right? Your final year project. I believe all of you will have your final year project given by the university, right? So by the end of your whole study in year four, right? You can actually put it in your final year project title and a little bit short synopsis about what's so special about this FYP, why you select this, what is the key outcome that you have managed to find out of the whole FYP over here. Right, and please put your study completion period or your expected graduation period in the resume. This will help the recruiter or will help the interviewer to determine whether or not they want to select you. It could be certain time, a particular managers they want to hire a student in a certain period of month, and so coincidentally that you are finishing your study in that particular month, right? So your resume will be highly prioritized by them, right? Because you are actually meeting their timeline requirement. Right. So the last one to me I think is very optional, right? So whether or not you want to put in SPM or STPM results, to me it's optional. All right. As employer, we always look at the latest education qualifications, which is your degree. All right. So when you are having a very good degree results, then your STPM and your SPM is no longer needed. All right. So to me, it's optional. So you make yourself. You want to put it, no harm as well. So other important elements for you to consider, right, when it comes to resume as well, right? So first of all is home address, right? So again, we see a lot of creative resumes by students where when they put home address to us, they put a whole full home address as per the IC, right? Which include home unit, unit number, street number, and etc. Right? To us, we don't need to know that. We do not need to know where the exact coordinations of your home. Right. So what we need is that if you say you're not from Penang, right? Which state you are from, all right? If let's say you're not from Malaysia, which original country you are from? Easy, right? Simple as that. So language skill again, right? You need to really assess your language skill honestly, right? A lot of times students always overrated their language proficiency, especially in English. All right, if your English is really weak, as I mentioned, you need to start to improve, right? If you're still in the university level, year one, year two, year three, or even year four, you need to start to improve right now, right? You don't overrate yourself, but when it comes to interview, right, you rate yourself about 9 or 10, super perfect, but when it comes to interview, you talk like 4 or 5. That will set a different impressions to the unit, to the hiring manager over here. All right, so give your resume some space as well. You don't cram everything in one page. If you have too many things to write, you can actually expand it to 2 pages, right? You may have heard a lot of time, a different HR practitioner comes to you and say, as a fresh graduate, one page is enough, right? You have nothing to write, right? There's no way that you can actually expand to 2 pages. But to me, I think we need to make ourselves a logical assessment over here, right? If logically one page is really not enough for you to write, and you do not want to dump everything in one page, right? Then why not expand to 2 pages? Simple as that, right? So we must think logically when it comes to resume writing over here. But to me, fresh graduate 2 or max 3 pages, that should be enough, right? There's no way that you could expand to about above or beyond 3 pages over here. Because again, fresh graduate, there's nothing that you can sell. You would have no working experience, nothing solid over here. Right, avoid too many colors, right? So you may be very creative enough to how to design your resumes, but the design will not buy you the job, right? The content will, right? So what we want to see is the content in the resume, not the colorful design in the resume. So job experience again, right? So what you can put in for your job experience column there is your internship experience, right? So especially when it really related to the job that you're applying for, right? So you need to further elaborate on your internship experience, what you have gained during the 3 months of internship experience, and how would this actually relate back to the job that you're applying for right now as a fresh graduate. Right. For your part-time experience, right, if you have worked as a promoter, you work as a salesperson in a mall during your semester break, right, on all these things, if it's not related to the job that you're applying for, right, I will suggest you not to put that, right, because no value at all, right, you're just wasting the space of your resume. Right, reference. All right, this is something very funny, right, so what I want to make it clear for you is that what is the usage of the reference in the resume, right? This is for employer to call and double check with the reference that you put about your behavior, about your personality, right? So if you want to let us call your reference, then you just put it in. But if you do not want us to call your reference, just leave it blank. Don't put reference upon request. All right. Again, no way that we are gonna call you up and ask, hey, so and so, can I get your reference contact because I would like to chat with your reference about you. Right? No way. All right. There's no way that we're gonna do that because we have other applications lining up, right? And we don't have time just to do that if let's say you don't put. Right. If you want to put it, you put it. You don't want to put it, leave it blank. Simple as that. All right. And you can always highlight some keywords in your resume. Keywords will help to summarize who you are, especially on a technical side. Right, even if you are technical students, right, whatever programming language, for example, that you have learned, whatever skill set, whatever technicality they have learned, that you are master enough in your university, right, you can always highlight the keywords in the resume. That will help a filtering process much more faster and help you to get noticed by the employer much more faster as well. Right, grammar and spelling, the last one, it may look simple, it may look tiny little thing, but it's very important, right? So it's important to check again and again overall on your resume before you submit whether it has any grammatical error. A simple type of typo, right? And you have always a repeated typo error in your one resume, that will give impressions about your language skill, right? It means that your spelling must be very bad, right? So always check again and again, right, before you submit or you consolidate your whole resumes. Right, so this is what I want to talk about your physical resume. So what I want to sell you and promote to you lah is LinkedIn. Right, LinkedIn account is very important right now. Right, so I will say that a lot of professionals HR, right, about 80% of the recruiter, whether it's locally in Malaysia or international, right, they are all using LinkedIn as a search platform for professional talents. All right, so it's always good that you create one LinkedIn as your digital resume. All right, so you create your own professional profile, right, and you can actually get a very fast and easy connections with the recruiter. All right, if you have not used LinkedIn before, right, LinkedIn has a function same as Facebook where it has Messenger, all right, so where recruiter can directly contact you, chat with you anywhere, whenever or wherever you are. All right, so it gives a fast response and fast communication between you and the recruiter as well. Instead of email, where certain time email need time, you may miss out the email, or the email may go to the spam, spam mailbox. This one you would not know. But if with LinkedIn, right, you can have a direct chit chat with the recruiters over here. Right, the recruiter might want to know more about you. Right, this is why you can foster a very constructive communications with them. Right, and better job visibility locally and internationally, as I mentioned. Right, so this is a platform for professional job. Right, if you're looking for professional jobs, then LinkedIn is one of the best platform for you to consider as well. And it gives a better storytelling about yourself, right? Because over here in LinkedIn, right, you can create, for example, you can see over here, right, you can tell the recruiter whether you're open for job opportunity, right? And over this column is about yourself, right? You can write about, what you want people to know about yourself, what is your life missions over here, right? So this is a column pretty much similar with objective in your physical resumes over here. All right, and when you go further down in LinkedIn, you can see that there's a column where people can actually recognize you, right, in terms of your work achievement, in terms of your behavior, in terms of your personality, right? So you can actually always recognize by people whether it's within your peer or within external people that have worked with you before, and they're really fancy about your work ethics over here. All right, and you can even give recognition to people as well. All right, and there's also a column that you can actually endorse skills you can actually create the skills that you are pretty much you agree with yourself that you are master with it, and people could endorse on the skill that you think you have as well, right? So the more skills or the more endorsement you have in your LinkedIn, right? The more tangible or the more visible what you have when it comes to job searching by the recruiter, because in LinkedIn recruiter will always filter with key or skills over here, right? So if your skills it has been highly endorsed by people, right? The pop-up rate of your profile to the recruiter is higher as well, right? So if you don't have LinkedIn right now, right? So please go and create one right now, and you need to make sure that you have connections over here, all right? Commonly for LinkedIn, right? The ideal or the minimum connections that you should have in LinkedIn is about 80 connections, right? Same as Facebook, right? Where you add more friends, more friends, more friends, and your Facebook is more visible as well, correct? So LinkedIn as well, right? So you need to have at least 80 in your connections. When I say connections, it has to be active connections as well, right? So this is a column where you can see how many connections that you have, right, in terms in your LinkedIn as well. All right, so you may feel free to add me, all right, if you have any LinkedIn account, and you can always come to me if let's say you have any further questions about I know in your future career and anything. All right, I'm more than happy to come to you and assist you if I say I could. All right, so this is my LinkedIn account. All right. So this is stage three right now, right? So when you're done, when you have done your part as job seeker, you have searched a job, and you got a job invitations, right? And this is where HR contacted you, asked you for interview sessions right now, right? So again, you are now as an interviewee, you still need to remember the quote: you are not alone, right? So why? Right. So when the moment you have received an interview invitations, you must always remember your aim. What is your responsibility as an interviewer there? Simple. Your role during the interview time is to really understand the job, right? The job that is coming up to you that you apply for, right? You may read about the job descriptions in the job portal, but in deep detail, right? What is specifically the job requirement is, right? This is the moment that you need to utilize and understand about it. All right, and you must also utilize this chance to understand about the team that you might be potentially joining in the future, right? And the company. All right. And this is the best time for you to know about who is going to be your direct report, your direct managers, right? The interviewer sitting here, right? High chances they are going to be your future report, right? This is the person that you're going to report to when you join the team, all right? So how would you want to know about your direct report? Again, you can always leverage your network in the company to help you to understand better, right? You must have friends have joined the company. Use that, right? That's why I say you must always keep a close connections with a network over here. All right. So again, this is also a moment to let the interviewer knows about you and why you deserve the job, right? Again, you must always remember this is the only moment that you have the chance to meet up with the interviewer, right? If you don't utilize this moment to clear all your confusions, to build a good impressions to the interviewer, to clear yourself out of the query that you have in your mind, right? If you have done an interview, right, there's no way that you're gonna get contact with the interviewer again, all right? And if you don't score it well, other interviewer do, right, then you might lose the chances again. Right? So again, the ultimate goal for you to attend the interview is to get the job. Simple as that. All right. So when it comes to interview, you must always analyze. All right. You must always analyze what you need and what might be the interviewer needs as well. All right. Simple. If for interviewer, the moment they are setting up an interview sessions with you, their aim is to get the right person to join their team. Right. So when it comes to the right person, when it comes to selections of the right person to join the team, what they're gonna assess is they are assessing whether you have the relevant qualifications that they need, the expertise that they need, right? They will assess on your interpersonal skills, your communications, right? Your communications, the way of you conveying the message to them, right? The language that you're using, this is going to be highly rated over here. They want to see your energy level, whether you're a person with active or you're a person that's passive, right? And this is the moment that you can show them, and they want to look at a list of records of quality result that you have. In your resume, you may say that, oh, I have this, I have that accomplishment, I participated in this, I learned this in a certain workshop. This is the moment they want to see what you have calibrate in your resume, whether it's really tying in with what you have in reality over here, right? So this is a moment that they want to see your quality results, right? And they want to see whether you're a person that is very initiative. Working in a large company like Intel with 20,000 people, right? They really want to see whether or not their team members is very active, proactive, and always take initiative to lead something. All right. So you as an interviewee, right? Your aim again is to get the right job, right? So you must always anticipate for questions from the interviewer. There's no way that during an interview sessions, no questions is being asked by the interviewer. No way, right? There's always gonna be questions, right? So for Intel, right, especially if let's say you're a technical student, right? So we will not spend so much time in asking about, hey, introduce yourself, tell me about your strength, tell me about your weakness, right? All these things. That kind of questions we don't spend so much time. We always will only spend about 5 minutes on that. Then after that, it will gonna be a technical questions. All right. So you need to always prepare mentally and physically well enough, right, before you really step into the interview room, meeting with the interviewer. And you need to create a positive impression with them from start, right? So the key point, the keywords over here is from start, right? Before you really sit down and start the interview session, you can always figure a way on how would you want to create the impressions, right? Before you guys even open up the mouth, to start the conversations, right? So and you must always have something to say. I know that Malaysian students always are very shy when they attend any workshop, any forum, right? They sit there for 2 hours. At the end of the day, right, the speaker asks, anybody have any questions? Right, the whole hall is quiet, right? Nobody has anything to say, right? But they do, right? Deep down in their mind, they do. They have a lot of questions, but the only thing that's stopping them is the embarrassment. I have no idea why they will feel so embarrassed. If you have questions that you want to clear, and this is certain knowledge that will get back to you, right? Why are you so scared of asking the questions, right? Certain time I notice when I go to a lot of university, right? When we go to workshop, and I can see from the faces that the students have questions. They really want to ask, right? But they just scared, right? Scared of what? One of the reasons they scared their friend laugh about them, right? So to me, I have once talked to a few students before where I portray this scenario. I see this student is being surrounded by this group of friends that you know always kind of not really a good motivator to them, but always discourage them, right? Discourage this kind of this one friends that really sit here to learn, right? And talk to them. I talk to the friend. I say in front of the friend as well. I say if you have questions and you scared your friend will laugh at you, all right, I will advise you not to spend so much time with this group of friends, all right, because a true friend will always encourage you to gain to improve. If your friend is jealous because of you get improved and they don't, right, and they laugh at you because you ask the questions that you really want to learn and they laugh at you, this is not a true friend, right? And definitely you do not want to spend so much time on that, right? Because they will not bring any beneficial, they will not bring any advantage to you to your life at all, right? And if you have this friend, don't really get too close to them, right? Someday, one day, they will just drag you down, right? They will not help you to develop, right? So I say that in front of the friends, right? Because it's still young, it's about 19 years old, right? And when you are when you are 19 years old, you started to have this kind of feelings, right? When you're getting older, when you're stepping into organizations, right? Trust me, there's no way that you're gonna be successful, right? You have something to say, just say it out, right? And always feel confident about anything that you do, even in the interview stage as well, right? You must always feel confident during the interview sessions. This is how you could actually set a very good impressions to the interviewer here. Right. So below is the process of candidate selections, right? Again, this process here is to show you that the code of the day, you're not alone, right? So when I say one position could have hundreds or thousand applications, that would be a long listing stages over here, right? We could have 100 people and we're gonna shortlist out of this 100 to could be 10 people over here, right? So out of these 10, then we will get them to come for interview, all right, for the positions, right? So certain company will have different kind of interview practice, right? Certain time they will have one time of interview, they have two times interview, they will have three times or four times of interview. But to me, logically, for fresh graduate, I think two times is more than enough, right? Because it's only fresh graduate, right? You couldn't have a very high expectation as compared to experienced people, right? So to me, I think second two times of interview should be fine, right? So after your two times interview, right, that's where the hiring manager will make assessment, right? They will assess whether or not out of these 10 people, right, why you, but not your friend, but why not the other candidate? So this is where you really need to sit down and really need to think of if you have if you and your friends, for example, 10 of you, right, comes to apply for the same job, and 10 of you get the same interview chances as well, right? You need to really ask yourself, right? If you all of you come for the interview, why the employer needs to select you but not your friends? What makes you so special? If you cannot, if you got nothing special compared to your friends, you all are same, right? What makes the employer want to choose you but not your friend? Simple as that. So you really need to sit down and think of what makes you special, right, between you and your friends, right? And you need to understand, the demographic of the country as well, right? When a job posted, not only you guys come to apply, it could have students from other universities to apply as well, right? So why you, right? You must always ask why you, why you. So that's how you could think to make yourself unique in the resumes, right? So if let's say you think that you're nothing unique, please work out something right now. All right. So during assessment, right, as assessment stage, right. So interviewer will always compare, right. So whether or not you can do the job, whether or not you have the skills to do the job, right. So to me, if let's say you have been assessed or you have been asked during the interview, you can always use the working history that you have, the working experience that you have, to actually counter back, the assessment piece over here from the interviewer, right. So the experience that you could sell is your internship, right? Your internship and what you have gained, because your internship could be the latest experience that you have, right? And whatever internship training that you have undergo, definitely it has to be matched with your study, right? As per the requirement by the university, right? So again, right, you can use this to counter on the interviewer's assessment piece on these two things, right? So what they want to know is that what you have done, right? How would you achieve it, and what you have achieved, right? If you say that, oh, you have done this project, right? You have executed this project during your 3 months internship in this particular company, right? So what is the method? What is the methodology that you use, right? And how would you achieve it, right? And the next one is, do you match with your CV, right? As I mentioned, you could overrate yourself, as as high as possible in your resume. You could tell, you could write about yourself in the resume as beautiful as possible, as wonderful as possible. All right, you could say whatever thing that to make yourself qualify for the job. Well, when it comes to true assessment, especially during the interview, whether or not you're really you are really who you are, as mentioned in your resume, this is where they will assess whether the value that you have written versus the true self. All right. So again, be honest about yourself, be yourself, right, and be confident about yourself as well. The last one is whether do you match with their competency, right? So again, competency, especially for technical students like you guys, right? So you know, what makes you so special that you have the competency and other people don't, right? So what kind of training that you have attended, or what qualifications that you have obtained, right? Whether from the university level, from external people level, from organizational level that you have, participate in certain, competition. For example, like, I'm not sure whether you've heard of this before, Innovative Malaysia design competitions. If let's say you have, attended any qualification that has been run by organization and your faculty has selected you for this, right? All these things you can actually put it in, right? This is a very good starting point for you when it comes to a graduate job applications, right? So when it comes to competency level, right, it's not about what you have done, it's about how you have done it, right? We want to see the influence and the impact that you have brought to the projects, you have brought to the to the event or to the assignment that you have done it, and the value that you have gained from there, right? So this is where during the assessment, most of the time the interviewer will look at. Right. So this is a pretty much more to Intel's technical assessment. Right. So if let's say Intel is a place that you want to join as as engineers or non-engineers, right? So this is where we will assess. Right. So again, we have design center, we have manufacturing as well. Right. So if let's say you are a person that's very fancy on design, and you would like to join the design center as a design engineer, right? So you need to make yourself familiar and well versed about this this whole area over here, analog, circuit, logic, and physical. And you're a person that like testing and validations, right? You need to really make yourself understand on pre-silicon and post-silicon for Intel. And one thing that's why I highlighted in yellow is VLSI. All right, if you want to join Intel, all right, as an engineering, right, you must make yourself well versed and familiarized with VLSI. A lot of times students fail our interview because they have no idea about VLSI. They may claim they have studied before, but they forget about that. If you're applying to Intel engineering, you really need to make yourself ready for VLSI assessment over here. All right? Because what we are doing over here is highly related and it's a high usage of VLSI in Intel. Right, so we have software programming assessment as well, right? If let's say you're a software guy, right, then computer system engineering as well, right? If let's say you are joining manufacturing, not only that we look at your electronic, but also on chemical, mechanical. So it depends on what kind of a job that you're applying in the manufacturing as well, right? Again, final year project, right? Remember, they will always assess you on your final year projects. Many times even until now, we still see that students always have problem to explain their final projects, right? I have received feedback from a lot of engineering managers that when they talk to students, especially when they ask about the final projects, it seems like the students have no idea what they have done in the final projects. To us, this is a big question mark. If this is a project that you are doing by yourself, right? You should have the whole idea about this final project. What is the problem statement? What is the key analysis? And what is the key outcome there? If you are not able to calibrate even your own final projects, we will doubt, we will suspect whether this final project you really do it, or you copy paste blindly, or you're getting somebody to do it for you. All right. So to us, no way that you cannot even explain your own job, right? No way. And basic engineering again, right? A lot of times students always prepare themselves in an advanced level, right? So they always focus what they have studied in year 3, year 4, but certain time they forget about what they have studied in year 1 and year 2, right? And they don't go back and revise, right? And they don't go back and prepare, right? So I mean this is pretty much our education systems over here, right? So we blindly memorize without understanding the theory, all right? So again, or let's say you really understand the theory, right, but not memorizing it. Trust me, you have no issue answering all the basic engineering questions. But if let's say your whole 4 year is just memorizing, right, and your high CGPA is not reflecting your knowledge, but it's just reflecting your memorizing skill, then it's very hard for you to, to answer your basic engineering questions. All right, so this is more on non-engineering. All right, again, Intel, although I would say that 70% of workforce is engineering, but we also hire non-engineering people as well. Finance and accounting, all right, for those who are and IT as well. But okay, so what I really want to say is non-technical assessment. A lot of time, hiring manager will put more focus on non-technical over technical. All right, to us, we believe that technicality still can be trained, but for non-technical, it's very hard to train. When it comes to non-technical, it's about yourself, your behavior, your personality. This is what we need you to train yourself, but it's very hard for the company to train. All right. So when it comes to non-technical assessment, again, your proficiency of language and the communications, the logical thinking, the way of you conveying the message, right? Whether or not when you convey a certain message, right? What you're trying to pass is is really in par with what the listener is trying to get. Right? If the message you're passing a message A, but your listener is getting a message B, then meaning to say that your way of conveying the message is not correct. Right? And reaction, you must always react fast, right? Especially during the interview time. When the interviewer asks you questions, right, and you're still sitting there thinking, right? Trust me, interviewer don't have so much time sitting there and let you think too long, right? They could give you about 3 minutes or 5 minutes to think, but not 10 or 15 minutes. No way. And many times student will come and say that, oh, let me go and search, research about this, and I'll come back and talk to you again, right? Trust me, no way, right? Interviewer, again, when I said interview moment, this is the only moment that you have, right? This is the only moment that you're meeting with the interviewer right now, face to face. If you tell the interviewer, say that, oh, I do not know how to answer this question, let me go and research about this, and I'll come back and talk to you about this. No way, all right? No way. After these hiring sessions, after these interview sessions, they go back to the office. No way that you're gonna see them again. All right. So again, we will also want to test on your problem-solving skill. Right. As mentioned, technical students they will always come up with technical questions. They will throw a lot of problems to you and see whether you can solve. Right. So but rest assured that whatever problem that they throw to you is always related to your study, right? They will not ask you something which is out of your syllabus over here. If let's say you're electronic engineers, they will always test you on your electronic basic, right? They will not throw you something on chemical and ask you as electronic students to go and solve this problem, right? Unless you are the one that come and apply for the job, then they want to test you and they say, okay, since you are the one that applying for the job, I'm gonna throw you these questions over here, right? So again, right, they want to see how fast you can solve the problem, right? Your logical thinking about that, and the next thing is they want to look at how well that you can make a decision, whether or not you're bold enough to make a decision. Again, remember, you guys come in as an engineer, right? Certain time you'll be assigned with a certain project, right? And you cannot always go back to your manager and ask about decisions. Right, your manager will want you to be accountable and make your own decision. All right, so you also want to see whether you are bold enough to make a decisions and whether or not you are bold enough to make the right decision as well. Right, so this is what we call as an overall preparations, right? And the next one is gonna be what you need to have, right? So this is gonna be a very quick one. What you need to have during the interview day, right? So this is applicable to whether it's a face-to-face interview or it's a virtual interview, right? Because of COVID-19 nowadays, all right. So a lot of company cannot go to university. You guys are also studying from home, right? There's a lot of time, company are switching from face-to-face interview to a virtual interview. But over here, what we are calling out, the key summary that you should have during the interview day applies for both. Right, again, right, certain time company would like to have a video conference with you. They want to see you face to face, right? So they want to look at their future candidate, how their future candidate look like, right? So they will ask you to do a video conference. So you need to dress professionally, right, in front of the video conference, right? And you need to be punctual. When the interview has been set as 10, right, you need to be punctual, right, at least 15 minutes, right? Instead of they wait for you, you need to wait for them, right? Because they are the interviewer, right? And you are the interviewee, right? So you need to greet the interviewer, right? If let's say it's a face to face, if permitted, a handshaking, but if let's say it's not permitted, then a greet or a smile is okay as well. Right. So again, it's a virtual, it's a video call. Then same as well that what you can do is just greet them, with a smiley face. Right. So being extra courtesy is always an advantage as well. Right. So you can give a firm, you can give a firm and confident handshake. Your sitting style must be very good. Right. Even though if let's say you're a video conference, right, you're at home, right, but your sitting style must be appropriate, because this is you we always must respect every single occasion. If this is a interview occasion, then you must treat it as an interview, professionalism as well, right? And your hand gesture when you're talking, right? So why we say hand gesture is very important, because certain time when you're talking and you show a little bit of movement with your hands, that will actually reduce your nervous level, right, when you're talking, because this is how you make yourself more comfortable when you're doing hand gesturing, when you're having a conversations. Right. So not to be nervous, right? So again, right, if this is a phone call interview, right, interviewer, especially those experienced interviewer where they have talked to hundreds of thousands of applicants in a year, right, they will have a way to know whether you are a person that comes with nervous or not, right? One of the way, just by listening to the tone of your voice, right? Then they will know whether or not you are coming in here prepared, nervous. Right. So at the end of the interview, right, thanks them again, right? Be the first one to thank them instead of they thank you first, right? So as mentioned, always good to have a strong courtesy level over here. All right. So this is what you have to do as an interviewee. So now I comes to my last stage, where you as an employee. This is a moment that you have gotten a job offer and you have started to join the company. Right? Again, when you're as an employee, the code does not stop. You still need the code of the day. Remember, what's the code? You are not alone. Right? Make yourself unique. Let's say you are joining in Intel Malaysia. All right. So Intel Malaysia, we have about 20,000 employees. All right. So again, the reality is any company that you join in, right, it's a competitive place, right? It's not a theme park. It's a competitive place for you to set your career goal. All right. So when you join organizations, you need to have a plan on your own career ladder. Right. What does it mean by career ladder? Right. What do you use ladder for? You use ladder to climb, right? To get something that is high enough that you cannot reach out. Right. That's why you need to climb one step, one step, one step to reach up to the goal. Right. To grab something. Same. You need to have your own career ladder. Right. To reach to the point that you want to get, and you need to plan how long that you need to step up to the ladder and reach that goal. Right? So you need to build your presence and your visibility in the organizations. Again, you're not alone, right? You have 20,000 people in Intel Malaysia, right? How would you want to build your presence that when your name is mentioned, everybody, or I would say that minority or majority people will know, oh, I know these people, I know this guy, right? So your visibility and presence is very important, right? And especially in the eye of the management, whether it's your team management, the organization management, right? So how would you want to build your presence? Again, remember what I said about what interview is looking, initiative of person. You need to take initiative to lead a certain events or projects in the organization or within your team, right? Intel is a place where you can actually grow, where there's a lot of events or projects that you can take to lead, in the organization level, right? And these will definitely help you to broaden out your network, right? As you can see over here, the two pictures over here, right? So this is the events that Intel runs from year to year, right? Above is the disability launching events where we run it together with a few members, and we invited a few university partners to come in together and actually witness the official launching for this interdisciplinary hiring, right? So the above is the more the below is the community work that Intel's always serving to the community. This is where you can do, right? This is where you can broaden out your network because this is the events that you can lead, and you'll be meeting people from different departments, right? And this is how you need to broaden and build your network in the organizations. And you must always keep your reputation and impression well, right? Don't set a chance for people to look bad about you, right? If you screw your whole reputation, you screw your impressions, you have bad performance issue, you have disciplinary issue. Trust me, the market is very small. Even one day you quit Intel, right? When you join other company, the company HR might have a chance to call us, for example, to do a reference checks about you, right? And we will need to tell the truth about you, right? When you quit from one company to another company, all right, then we need to call the HR to check any particular issue with this particular candidate when they are with your company, right? And you set a very bad impression to the whole organizations, right? Trust me, right? When you quit, you're gonna get yourself a hard time in looking for a very good job, right? And you need to figure out a way to strengthen your reliability, right? Your reliability, your trustworthy, and your accountability, especially when you're joining your own team, right? How would you want to set your team? Again, you're not alone, right? You could have team members over there, all right? You could have about 40 or 50 people within the same team, all right? And how would you set your reliability? So when it comes to a certain project assignment, the first person or one of the person your boss could think of is you, right? Because whatever job that you have done it, you set a very good credibility over there, right? And you are a reliable person that your boss can rely on when it comes to a project execution, right? So this is why you really need to think of how would you want to strengthen your reliability, trustworthy, and accountability, all right? And always be outspoken. This is where a lot of graduates lacking, right? Especially in Malaysia. All right, we have recruited a few graduates when we went to other university in other country as well. When we talk to their students, we are so astonished about how outspoken they are. All right, how outspoken they are. They even raise themselves up to ask questions, even before we ask them, "Do you have any questions?" All right, so but when we come back to Malaysia, when we look at the Malaysian students, I think that this is something that we are really lacking over here in terms of outspoken, right? Again, remember, you are setting up your foot in an organization with 20,000 people, right? Even if let's say it's about 1,000, 2,000 people, if you are always quiet in any meetings, any forum, any discussions, right? Nobody even notice about you, right? Trust me, right? And you're asking for promotion? No way, right? No way, right? So your manager could have selected somebody which is very outspoken, active, right, and always have passions and to do the job, right? So you have questions, please always ask, right? Again, there's no embarrassing moment for you to ask the questions, right? So because this is something that you gain for yourself, right? And you must always wear the hat of possibility thinking. All right. So everything that is assigned to you, all right, if you have not tried it, try it first. Once you have tried it, if this is not a possible way to do it, then you sit down and and reassess and think of what you should do in counter back the impossibility. And if let's say every possible method you have done it and it's not possible, go back to your manager, tell them that I have executed a few plans and I have selected a few alternatives, right? And I've tried everything and it's not possible. Then at least your manager know that you are very active enough. Although I have assigned you this one methodology, but you choose to go with a certain alternate methodology that's workable. All right. But again, right, the last one is most important thing is that when you join organizations, right, you must always enjoy and have fun, right? Intel, I think as this is my fourth company in my career, I think Intel Malaysia has done a very good job in building an environment that is like a home to me, right? When the moment I wake up, I always have the urge to push myself, to go to work. All right, back in the day, I don't, right? When I wake up, I say, it's a long day again, right? But the moment when I joined Intel, when once I'm familiarized with the whole environment and culture and the whole operation process of the organizations, I think they really make a very good job in shaping a great place to work environment to all the employee at different level. All right. So again, right, once you join Intel, right, so this is as I mentioned, right, we have a lot of events that you can actually take lead and you be initiative to actually lead a certain project, right? So like what we have over here is a social clubs, right, where you can see all the leaders over here, they are all volunteers, right? They are all volunteers to give idea to the fire to win community in Intel and say that hey, I think we should have this, for example, a hiking club, right? Because we want to build a hiking community, and we want to foster a very broader network within the hiking community in Intel, right? So if let's say you are one of the person that full with ideas, right, and you want to give contribute your ideas to Intel, right? Once you join Intel, I will highly encourage you to be one of the team, right? Because the Fire Twin team over here, every year we will review on these social clubs over here, right? And we always encourage employee to submit the ideas on why you think that you want to set up this club in Intel, right? And let's say your club has been selected, then congratulations, you are become one of the leaders, and you need to run this club in Intel and how do you want to make this club, a better place for employee over here. Right, as you can see, we have all these club over here, cardios, we have martial arts, we have Wing Chun. If let's say you have watch Ip Man, you want to learn Wing Chun. All right, and we have this like coffee bakery club. We have Pokemon Go. If person like music, we have Music Blend. All right, and we even have Toastmaster Intel Toastmaster Club as well. Right, this is a club where you can actually join and really help to improve on your communication and your presentation skill as well. All right, and we even have this graduate club. All right, so this is a club where I established back in 2018 in Intel, and this is where I set up. I want to create a platform for graduates that join Intel, where it will integrate them, into Intel cultures and environment much more faster, much more comfortable as well. Right, because in this club, all right, once you join this club, for example, you join Intel, you join this club, you definitely will be meeting your seniors, your juniors, or your friends from other university that joining the same company like you as well, right? So if let's say for the first week when you join the company, you definitely it's a new environment for you. You feel uncomfortable and you feel shy, or if you have questions, you have issue, and you have nobody to voice out because it could be because of senior, your manager could be very busy of projects, they have no time to entertain you, right? This is a platform for you to join. This is a platform for you to interact with them, and this is the best platform for the product and network. In a year, we hire about 600 or up to 800 fresh graduates into Intel Malaysia, right? And all of them are in this club. So starting from last year, I think last year, I empower this club for the graduate to run it, right? So I sit as an advisory board, right? So to monitor the progress of the club. So I totally empower them to run this club because I think I'm old enough, right? So my mindset, my thinking, it could be different with the millennial, yeah, like you guys, right? You guys could have different expectation. You guys could have different, things to pursue, right? So in this club, I let them run it. So they have, like for example, in this photo, they have run this workshop. It calls as a social style workshop. How do you make yourself connected with a strangers in 30 seconds? Right. So we engage with the external speakers, to come in Intel Malaysia and train our graduates on this. Right. And we have all these, festival celebrations. We have New Year end party. We have these, external community job services that we went out for. Right. We have even lastly we have this Penang Amazing Race event as well. All right, so it's very interesting and very interactive club. between all the millennials over here, and you can see how brilliant millennials could think of in terms of ideas in generating a place for them to really feel like home, right? So and this will actually help in long-term retention within you uh, in the company. All right, so this is gonna be my last one. All right, so I have done all my sharing for all stages. All right, so what I really want you to take away, I hope that you have got it. All right, out of this four presentation is what I always focus is network. All right, every four stages, I always emphasize on network. So again, network is very important. All right, if you have very low engagement, establishment in your network, then you really need to start work on it right now. All right, and always be diligent and always be serious in every single role that you're playing. All right, so if you're a student, job seeker, interviewee, even as an employee, right, be serious about that. Right, this is where you can determine your own future. Right, and you must always design your own strategy planning and your own strategy preparations. All right, and the last one is always what I encourage students to always think of, right? Your mindset, right? Your mindset is the one that drives you where you want to be. If your mindset drives you to a positive stage, then you are gonna lead to a positive stage. And if your mindset is always passive, always negative, right? Then you will always just within the negative circle. All right. So with that, I end my whole sharing. Uh, any questions you guys have?
Yeah, I think we got three questions here. From KY Tan and also from Muhammad Lukman Amran. Uh, and do I need to read the question, sir?
Really, let me see. It's in the chat box, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, never mind. Let me see.
The latest one.
I'll start from the beginning. See whether anybody has.
I think we can scroll to the last one. This is from KY and from Lukman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with Lokman. Okay, what kind of little things can impress an employer? You need to ask yourself about this, right? What kind of little thing that you have can impress the employer? All right. Again, all right. You as a fresh graduate, right? You must always remember what do you have, right? As a selling point to us, right? If let's say I'm right now sitting in front of you and you're applying a job for me, and out of a sudden, three of your friends comes here together. They're submitting an application to me as well, and I only have one position, right? And there's four of you standing in front of me. So why you, right? You need to tell me why you. So what are the things that you can impress me for that, right? So your resume again, right? What is a great value that you have put it in? Apart from your results, right? What are the extra things that you have done? All right. Again, right? What you can do, right? As I mentioned, the additional activities that you could have, right? If you have supported your lecturer in certain research, right? You being an assistant to your lecturer in some research executions, right? You are leading a certain events in your faculty, in your university level, right? That you think that from this event you have gained, for example, leadership, right? This is one of the things that you can actually impress me, right? So because you have something extra out of apart from your results that you can actually sell to me. And when I look at you are a very active person and you still can remain a good results, this to me that you are a person with full of discipline because you manage to be multitask, right? As a student, where not only do you need to juggle to take care of your results, but you also can manage all the extra activities over there. Right. So this is one of the things that you can actually think of. If you are lacking, then you can start to have. Okay. From KY, may I know is that okay if you search for few jobs for different company at the same time, months before graduation or completion? Definitely. Yeah. Why not? right? You can search again, right? What I emphasized before is that you really need to identify interest, right? Again, you need to really research on the company that you want to work for, right? You do not want until the stage that you click apply, you have been called for an interview, you come in, and we ask you that do you know what kind of job you're applying for, and you tell us you have no idea. All right, so we have encountered this multiple times when we having an interview with students, and when they come in, they say that they have no idea about this job. Right, so this gives us a very bad impression. Right, so may I know is there any suggested content for a good letter of rejections of offer to the employer? Okay, to us, if let's say you want to reject an offer, for example, if let's say we give you an offer, you want to reject us because you have found a better offer, right? You must at least notify us 1 month before, or at least 3 weeks before. You don't notify us 1 or 2 days or 3 days before you join the company and say that sorry, I'm declining your offer because I have found another job offer. All right, so you really need to make yourself a commitment. All right, because this is gonna be fair. You need to be fair to the employer as well, and you don't screw your own future. Right? If you set a very bad impression, for example, you reject us, you know, 2 days before you joining the company, right? And who knows that in the future, when you join the new company, because of certain issue, you cannot retain yourself with the company, and you want to join back Intel, that's not gonna be possible, right? Because you have a very bad remark left with the company because of your uh, work ethic over here. All right, let me scroll up and see if there's any additional questions over here.
One more from Muhammad Zarif.
Mohammed Zarif. Okay. Okay.
Student with great skills or student with great CGPA?
Where is it now? Cannot see.
The last one. Three.
Oh, the last one. Okay.
Yeah. I got some question as employer.
Okay, as employer, you prefer a student with great skill or student with great CGPA? Of course, we need both.
Oh.
Right, we need both. Right, if you have, what makes you have great skill, but you have low CGPA? I mean, commonly it has to come in as a compatible thing. All right. If your CGPA is low and you tell me that you have very good knowledge about the skills that you have studied, that's very confusing to me. Right? If you have full flash of knowledge about the things that you have studied, right? But your CGPA is still low. That's very peculiar to me lah. All right. But again, right? If results versus skill, right? Of course, we need both. But if you let me choose, right? We need skill. Skill over CGPA. Right. But again, you really need to understand the stages, right? So when it comes to skill over CGPA is when you're having an interview. But before you got your interview, right? You are submitting your resumes, right? You need to make yourself, you know, uh, get selected, correct, for the interviewer for the interview, right? So your CGPA will come first on that stage over the skill, right? If you are a working experience, you have 4 or 5 years of working experience, then we are not gonna look at CGPA anymore. We're gonna look at skill. All right. So okay, from Zhang Wei.
Okay.
May I know, is it possible to secure a job which is not really related to the course I'm currently taking? Thank you. Okay, again, you can apply to a job that is not related to your course. Right? As long as they are willing to give you a chance, you manage to pass the interview, and you got a job offer. Simple as that. Right. So again, you really need to have a common sense when you're applying for a job. If you are electronic students, right, there's no way you're applying for chemical if you have no chemical knowledge at all, right? And you say that, oh, because I like chemical, right? And I want to apply for chemical, right? If that's so, what is the extra step that you have done throughout your whole 4 year university about what can justify about your interest to the chemical? We have students before that says that they are pure hardware students, because their course is only pure hardware. But what he applying to us is a software job. But he managed to got a job. What he did is that he spent extra effort every semester, right, to do self learning on YouTube, self learning on internet about software thing. He learns programming language on his own, right, and he managed to impress the interviewer during the interview sessions, right, and that will qualify why he is deserving that job, even though if he's a hardware student, right. If let's say you have this practice, then you could. Okay, next one, Isa Sari. Okay, I would like to ask, let's say if our internship experience is not related to the job we apply, or okay, sorry, it's coming down. In your view, what should we do? Right. Again, if it's not related, right, you can put it in your key learning during the internship experience, right? Whether or not it's relevant to the job, right, it's very subject to individuals, right? But again, if you say technicality is not relevant, you put on non-technical. What is the communications? Have you learned any leadership from there? Have you learned any management from there? Have you learned anything else? If let's say the technicality is not matching with what you are applying for, there's definitely gonna be some key learning as what you need to write in your university logbook, right? You need to write in your logbook of what you have learned, right, to your lecturer as well, right? So same thing that you can put it in your resume. Okay, uh, what else? Okay, from higher two, what kind of questions we can ask to interviewer at the end of interview? Maybe relevant question beside the salary. Okay. By the end of the interview, right? I'm pretty sure that you're gonna have a lot of questions, right? There's no way that you have no questions unless you have done a pretty good research about the job, a pretty good research about the company, right? The company you can ask is that the team. What is the team culture over there? All right, how's the team is doing there? Right, about organizations, cultural sites. You can ask, right? Whether or not you can ask salary, right? Certain time, hiring manager will ask you the same question as well. Interviewer will ask you, what is your expectation of the salary? Right? You can tell. You can tell upfront. You can tell your expected salary that you want. Right? Because certain time, interviewer will ask you questions. This kind of question is because they want to see whether you are highly demanding or you're being, reasonable over here. For every company, right? Trust me, all fresh graduate in higher rate is fixed. Salary for fresh graduate is fixed. Regardless whether you're expecting high, you're expecting low, whether or not the hiring manager, the interviewer want to request more from us just to pay you to get you in the team. No, right? It's gonna fix for all fresh graduates. So no point. If let's say you ask about the salary, right? Because anyhow, your role for the interview, as I mentioned, is to get a job. You must secure the job first, then only you can get the salary. The salary will only pass down to you when it comes to offer stage, when the HR person calls you and explain about the benefits to you. And to me, I think as a fresh graduate, you need to ask yourself, is monetary so important right now? Or the job experience that you need to build is much more important, compared to the job, right? You, as a fresh graduate, if you are looking monetary so strong, and apart from the experience, apart from the future career growth that you could have in a company, yeah, I will say that you may not be even successful for long term in the company, even the company is paying you high, right? If you expect high, you need to expect high stress as well. Simple as that. If you cannot take the stress level, don't expect high salary.
Exactly.
Okay, 当中间 undergraduate, postgraduate, job. If someone follow this career path, is it too late for a person to participate in job market? Okay, you again you really need to assess and you really need to do more survey about whether or not you should start with a postgraduate or you should start with working first. All right, and you really, as I mentioned, you really need to plan your career ladder. If you want to complete your undergraduate, you go for your master's, right, or your PhD. What is the future goal that you're trying to reach by selecting this this stage over here by joining the postgraduate program? Right. If your long-term goal is not, your long-term goal is to be in the industry working, right? Why not working first? Why not work first? Right? Because again, to us as an employer, we look at your experience, right? If you are a postgraduate, a master, or a PhD, no doubt that certain time, certain company will pay you a different rate because of different education level. But when it comes to candidate selections, right? If an undergraduate with 2 year experience comes in and applying for a job that is, competing with you as a master, fresh master, you have no experience at all, who would be selected? A person with experience or a person with no experience but with only a higher level of education? Of course, we definitely will select person with experience because to us, it will save a lot of time for us on training part, right? And we need skilled people to come in and deliver the job, right? So you really need to juggle around. And for Intel, we have a program for master program as well. All right. So why not? If let's say you're not looking to be a lecturer, you're not venturing yourself into academic line. All right. To me personally, I would suggest you to work first. Right. You need to gain experience so that your master is more valuable. All right. What else I have? Okay. Feng Yongjian again. When more candidates apply the same job position, does undergraduate students and postgraduate students make any difference in terms of wage rate? I think I have covered this before. Different education level will have a different rate. Alright, so it depends on which graduate the job offer.
I think it would be the last one, sir.
Okay.
Ong Wei Jin.
Okay, on waging is it? Okay.
Mm.
May I ask the activities and events I'm joining over the past months are not really related to my course? Is it really okay? Okay. Relevancy is something that we really need to assess. Right. If you're applying for a design engineer job, right, and the extra activities, whether or not it's something relevant. If the activities could tell that you have, as an example, you have portrayed a leadership trait during the whole event, then you put. If you have joined a competition which is not relevant, for example, you join a chess competition, what does that have to do with your engineering positions over there? What do you learn from that chess competition, for example? All right, so this is something that we need to think of on why when by the moment when we write in a resume, right? As I mentioned, you always need to customize your resumes, right? At the start of the presentation, right? Customize your resume based on what kind of a job that you're applying for. Okay.
Okay, that's it. Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. Such a wonderful talk and advice for us. I'm sure you have another session with Mr. Alex later. We are very happy to have Mr. Alex, the Malaysia HR Campus Program Manager there. Once again, on behalf of HDC and ASM, we're extremely happy to have a session with you. And for all of the participants, let's do not forget words. We are not alone and be unique as well. Thank you for participating today and please keep in touch for the next session. Last but not least, hashtag stay safe. also hashtag we will win. And once again, thank you very much to all. Thank you very much to Mr. Alex. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, students. If you have any questions, you want to apply for a job, right? This is
Yeah.
my direct email. Send it to me, and I'm more than happy to assist you, right? Add me in the
Come on,
LinkedIn if
guys.
let's say you want to chat with me, right?
Yeah, this is the opportunity directly to Mr. Alex. Okay, thank you, Mr. Alex. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.